welcome back to Carnivore Found Me. So today's video is going to be on questioning carnivore and veganism and which diet is right for you. So I think most of us have questioned our diet. It's a good thing to question your diet. It's a good thing to pretty much question anything because we've been indoctrinated to believe so many things only to find out later on that it wasn't the right thing. So I do spend time questioning my diet. But before I go on, I want to show my gratitude to experiencing carnivore. And I'm going to be running all of the things that I was healed from the carnivore diet up here, and you'll see them. So I think that people that are true thinkers, whether they're vegan or they're carnivore, they're gonna at some point question it, or they should at least, you know. So we have the carnivores over here, we have the vegans over here, and then we have all of that in between. And then we even have the extremes. We have the raw carnivores who eat the high meat. We have the raw vegans who eat raw fruit and vegetables. And I've never been a high meat eater, a carnivore on the extreme side. However, I have been a vegan on the extreme side, eating raw vegetables, fruit and vegetables. And that is what landed me in the hospital. So here's my story. I woke up one morning after being sick for at least about a year or so. I woke up one morning after I was on the fruit and vegetable 50% raw diet for at least 3 months. And I woke up one morning, I decided, let me go and get a banana or something. I don't know if it was a banana, apple, or whatnot. But I went and got a piece of fruit. I ate it, I laid back down, I got up because I wasn't feeling well, which I hadn't been feeling well and hadn't been sleeping. And so I ate it. I decided, well, let me go and sit outside on my balcony. I went outside, sat on the balcony, and about 10 minutes later, all of a sudden, I just started trembling uncontrollably with excessive sweating. I was feeling bad. I called for my daughter. She rushed me to the hospital. So I went to the hospital and I was told, I was there all day, it wasn't overnight stay. I was told that it was something, I was allergic to something that I was eating. Now, in my mind, I knew that I was eating fruit and vegetables and that's all I was eating. But in my mind, because I was so indoctrinated, I didn't want to think it was fruit and vegetable. I tried to figure out, I really tried to think that maybe it was the pre-diabetes that I had and it was getting worse. That's what I initially thought. So I came home that evening, didn't feel like cooking anything. My daughter fixed me some bacon and eggs, and somehow miraculously I woke up the next morning, so I had went to sleep overnight, which that was very unusual because, as I told you, at that time I was very sick, wasn't sleeping. I'd sleep, and that wasn't even sleep. I think my body would actually shut down every 3 days. That's how sick I was. So I slept overnight, woke up that next morning, couldn't figure out, why did I go to sleep? Why was I able to go to sleep? Why wasn't I feeling bad? So I thought to myself, I'm like, maybe it's the IV bag at the hospital. That's what I thought. Couldn't be the bacon and eggs that I ate, because of course bacon and eggs not good for you. That's what I learned anyway. Eggs give you high cholesterol. So I decided, instead of me eating bacon and eggs again, I'm gonna go and eat another piece of fruit. I ate a banana. When I ate the banana, 30 minutes later, I started feeling sick with the sweating again. And I wasn't doing the trembling, but I was just feeling sick, lightheaded. And so I'm thinking, what could it be? So I decided to go on YouTube, like most of us do. We go on YouTube to find out what's wrong with us, right? So I went on YouTube, and then I found people that were allergic to potassium. Of course, that had to be what was wrong. It couldn't be the fruit and vegetables. I'm allergic to potassium. That's what I thought. So at that point, I said, let me start tracking my food and finding out what's really going on. So I started tracking my food. I'd eat an apple, I felt the same. I ate cabbage, I feel the same. It seemed to be the fruit and vegetables. And then I said, well, I remember when I ate that bacon and egg when I came home from the hospital, let me eat the bacon and eggs. So I ate the bacon and eggs, and from there, I just started eating bacon and eggs for the next 3 weeks until I went to my alternative doctor. And that's when I found out what was going on. And you'll see that in a previous video. It's in my playlist of my health journey. Most of us were indoctrinated about food and health as kids. For me personally, I remember being a kid and having to learn about the food pyramid. Y'all remember the food pyramid? It came out in the early 90s. Yeah, I think it was the early 90s it came out. And that reminds me, before I talk about this food pyramid, there's a video that most of you should watch, and it's on Netflix. It's called Fat Fiction. It is a very, very important movie to watch if you question your diet and you question the things that people are telling you. Fat Fiction is very important. I watched that movie at least documentary. I watched that documentary at least 3 times. But back to this food pyramid. In fact, let's look up this food pyramid. See if we can find out more about it. Because in that movie, that Netflix documentary, it shows depicts a picture of people, actual people, walking down the streets in the early, before the food pyramid was actually implemented. And as you look at them, you'll see they're, regular sized people and everything. And then the food pyramid was implemented in the early 90s. And then shortly after it was implemented and taught in schools, because I learned the food pyramid, we had to learn it. I don't know it now, but we had to learn it. Shortly after that, it was another screenshot of people walking in the cities, and they had become obese. And there was an epidemic of diabetes rose shortly after that pyramid was implemented in our schools. That movie is very, very instrumental for all of us to watch if you question things. Okay, so let's look at this right here about the food pyramid. See, give me some short bullet points about the food pyramid. Okay, so here it says the historical background. It was in 1992 that was actually implemented. And it was divided into 6 sections. And here it talks about grain, the bread, the rice, the cereal. And another thing we need to know about the grain, there was a point in history, and I'll pull that up later. There was a point where we had a surplus of grain. And I don't know I think that was before they actually created this food pyramid. And so isn't that strange that we had a surplus of grain, and now all of a sudden it's a big part of the food pyramid? So it says grain, that was the base of it. And then it says vegetables and fruit were positioned just above grain. So they were promoting a high intake of fruit and vegetables. And then shortly after, there was that diabetes epidemic. Let's see, fats, oils, and sweets. Okay, here's a criticism upon it. It says, criticized for promoting high carbohydrates and low fat intake. Isn't that interesting? Okay, and so I wanted to find out more about the surplus of grains. Okay, let's save that. So it says, let's look at the Green Revolution here. It says during the 1960s and 70s, the Green Revolution further boosted grain production with high yield crop varieties, increased use of fertilizers, pesticides, and advanced farming techniques. So there was a great surplus, and somehow it ended up as being a necessity on our food pyramid. What else it says? It says in the 70s, grain surplus in the United States experienced a surplus of grain, particularly wheat and corn. And it's kind of interesting that now we found out that wheat and grain are not really good for you. Here's a criticism and controversy. It says the heavy emphasis on grains has since been criticized for contributing to the rise of obesity and related health issues as it encourages high carbohydrate intake and minimal fat consumption. Now, see, that was back in 1992, and that's what they told us then. But now, new information has come out. So, you guys, I just wanted to share that with you to give you something to think about. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And to those of you that are already liking and commenting, I'd like to thank you and I appreciate you. See you next time.